Hi guys, this is O-level chemistry, paper 12, November 2018, question 11. A compound contains 40% carbon, 6.7% hydrogen, and 53.3% oxygen by mass. The relative molecular mass of the compound is between 55 and 65. What is the molecular formula of the compound? Okay, first we will find out the empirical formula. So we've got carbon, we've got hydrogen, we've got oxygen. So the first thing we will do is we will divide the percentage by the AR of the element. So this would be 40 upon 12 for carbon. It would be 6.7 upon 1 for hydrogen. And it would be 53.3 upon 16 for oxygen. So now we would calculate each of these values. So the value for carbon comes to 3.33, the value for hydrogen comes to 6.7, and the value for oxygen comes to 3.33. So after this calculation, we would divide each of these values by the smallest number that we've obtained, which is 3.33. And this would give us a ratio of 1 is to 2 is to 1. Therefore, the empirical formula of this compound is CH2O, and the empirical formula mass would be 12 plus 2 plus 16, giving us a value of 30. So now we have a value of 30, and the question has said that the mass of the compound itself would be between 55 to 65. So if we multiply 30 by 2, we get a value of 60, which is between 55 and 65. Therefore, when we multiply the the empirical formula CH2O by 2, we end up with the molecular formula of C2H4O2 having a mass of 60. So this justifies whatever has been stated in the question, and this makes option C the correct option for this question. Question 12. What is observed during the electrolysis of aqueous copper to sulfate using carbon electrodes? A pink solid is deposited on the anode. No, copper ions would be reduced to copper. So they would deposit at the cathode because cathode is where reduction takes place. Bubbles form on the negative electrode. Now the negative electrode is the cathode, so where copper is depositing, and oxygen gas would be released at the other electrode, which would make it the anode, and anode here would be the positive electrode. So this is incorrect as well. The color of the solution fades. Yes, because copper ions are deposited as copper metal, so the concentration of copper ions in solution would decrease, which would result in the color fading. And the negative electrode becomes smaller. The negative electrode is the cathode, which would gain mass when copper ions would be deposited on it as copper. The positive electrode would become smaller. The positive electrode is the anode. Why would it become smaller? Because we would have oxygen being produced, and oxygen will burn away the anode as carbon dioxide. So this option is incorrect as well. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option C. Question 13. Four processes using electrolysis are listed. The electrolysis of concentrated aqueous sodium chloride, the electrolysis of dilute sulfuric acid, the extraction of aluminum from pure aluminum oxide, and the purification of copper using aqueous copper to sulfate. Which processes produce oxygen at one of the electrodes? Okay, the electrolysis of concentrated aqueous sodium chloride would produce hydrogen at the cathode and chlorine at the anode. Next, the electrolysis of dilute sulfuric acid would produce hydrogen at the cathode and oxygen at the anode. Next, the extraction of aluminum from pure aluminum oxide would produce aluminum at the cathode and oxygen at the anode. And the purification of copper using aqueous copper to sulfate would produce copper at the cathode and the purification of copper using aqueous copper to sulfate. Okay, it's the purification of copper. So it would produce copper at the cathode. Anode would actually turn into Cu2 positive ions and they would deposit at the cathode as copper metal. So anode is producing copper ions. So the question is asked which of these processes produces oxygen? So that would be process 2 and process 3, making option B the correct option for this question. Question 14. Which statement about endothermic reactions are correct? Energy is absorbed from the surroundings. Yes, that is how the temperature decreases. Energy is released to the surroundings. That is in the case of exothermic reactions. The temperature of the reaction mixture falls. Yes. The temperature of the reaction mixture rises. That is for exothermic reaction. So options 2 and 4 being correct makes A the correct answer for this question. Question 15. A fuel is completely burnt in air. Carbon dioxide, water, and heat are produced. Which energy profile diagram is correct for burning of a fuel? Okay. So if heat is produced, that means the reaction is exothermic. So out of the given options, A and C represents exothermic reactions, B and D represent endothermic reactions. So B and D are eliminated. Now between A and C, A has the reactants directly being converted into products, whereas C has the reactants showing the transition state, which is the maximum state of energy during the reaction. And this also shows that this is the activation energy that is required for the reaction to occur. And then we have formation of products. So option A does not show the activation energy, making option A incorrect. Therefore, option C is the correct option for this question. Question 16. The equation shows the reaction for the manufacture of ammonia. N2 gas plus 3H2 gas gives 2NH3 gas. Which change will decrease the activation energy of the reaction? Now, the activation energy is only affected by the presence of a catalyst and nothing else. So, option A, addition of a catalyst, yes. Option B, decrease in temperature, no. Option C, increase in concentration, no. Option D, increase in pressure, no. Although options B, C, and D will shift the equilibrium either forward or backward, but they would have no effect on the value of the activation energy, which will only be affected by the presence of a catalyst, making option A the correct option for this question. Question 17. Solid ammonium chloride is heated. The gases ammonia and hydrogen chloride are formed. This is reaction 1. Ammonia gas is mixed with hydrogen chloride gas. Solid ammonium chloride is formed. This is reaction 2. Which statement is correct? Both reaction 1 and reaction 2 are exothermic. Now, in the case of solid ammonium chloride is heated, energy is required to break the bonds. So this is endothermic. And the other one, the reaction of ammonia gas with HCl, here bonds are being formed. So this is exothermic. So both are not exothermic. One is, one isn't. Reaction 2 is reversible. Ammonia plus HCl gives NH4Cl. NH4Cl will break to give NH3 and HCl. This is correct. The equation for reaction 1 is NH5Cl gives NH4 and HCl. NH5 is wrong. It should be NH4, and NH4 on the product side is wrong. It should be NH3. And the last one, the three substances involved in each reaction all have a simple molecular structure. Now, ammonia is a simple covalent molecule. HCl is a simple covalent molecule, whereas ammonium ions and chloride ions form an ionic solid. So ammonium chloride is ionic. So this statement becomes incorrect as well. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option B. Question 18. In a closed flask, gases Q and R reach a dynamic equilibrium. Which change will move the equilibrium to the right? Okay, adding a catalyst has no effect on the position of the equilibrium. Decreasing the temperature will favor the equilibrium towards the endothermic side, which is the decreasing the temperature will favor the equilibrium towards the exothermic side. Increasing would favor it towards the endothermic side. So decreasing would favor it to the exothermic side, which is the left side. Increasing the pressure favors the equilibrium towards the side with the lesser number of moles. There is 1 mole of reactant, 2 moles of product, so equilibrium will shift to the left. And increasing the volume of the flask. When the volume of the flask increases, the pressure decreases because volume and pressure are inversely proportional. So an increase in volume results in a decrease in pressure. And when the pressure decreases, the equilibrium is favored towards the side with a greater number of moles. Therefore, more moles are present in products than reactants. So the equilibrium will shift towards the right, making option D the correct option for this question. Question 19. Which reaction is a redox reaction? Okay, in A, magnesium has a charge of 0, and hydrogen has a charge of +1, and chloride has a charge of -1. On the product side, magnesium has a charge of +2, chloride has a charge of -1, and hydrogen has a charge of 0. So magnesium goes from 0 to +2, and hydrogen goes from +1 to 0. Magnesium is oxidized, hydrogen is reduced. So A is a redox reaction. B, magnesium has a charge of +2, H has a charge of +1, chloride has a charge of -1. This goes to magnesium chloride. Magnesium has a charge of +2, chloride has a charge of -1, hydrogen has a charge of +1. So no change in oxidation states here, so it's not a redox reaction. Now the next one, Mg has a charge of +2, oxygen has a charge of -2, hydrogen has a charge of +1, chloride has a charge of -1. Product side, magnesium has a charge of +2, chloride -1, hydrogen +1, oxygen -2. So no change in oxidation state here as well. And the last one, magnesium has a charge of +2, and product side, magnesium has a charge of +2. Whereas hydrogen has a charge of +1 on the reactant side, hydrogen has a charge of +1 on the product side. Chlorine has a charge of -1 on the reactant side, chlorine has a charge of -1 on the product side. And same thing with hydroxide. So because there is no change in oxidation number taking place, so this is also not a redox reaction, making option A the correct option for this question. Question 20. Three separate mixtures of a solution and a solid are made as shown in the table. The mixtures are warmed. In which mixture does a gas form? So we have NaOH reacting with ammonium chloride. Ammonium chloride is an acidic salt. NaOH is a base. They would release ammonia gas. In the reaction between H2SO4 and ammonium chloride, no gas would be produced because both are acidic, so this reaction will not occur. So no gas. And in the reaction between sulfuric acid and magnesium solid, we would have hydrogen gas being produced because that is the reaction between a reactive metal with acid. So NaOH and ammonium chloride produces ammonia. So A and B show production of gas. So option C and D eliminated. In the second case, A shows production of gas and B does not show production of gas. So no gas is produced. Option A has been eliminated. And for the third column, option B shows production of gas, which would be hydrogen, making option B the correct option for this question.